freshman, the legend in the plans. Please listen every day to the showcase. The opinions and knowledge that anyone can take. Showing you how it is done. Proving I am number one. What a legend becomes. This is now my time to show you that I am here. This podcast just to make it loud and clear. By the fans, for the fans. Not many who's here can understand everything pro wrestling. It can never be you. Listen to the podcast here for the people. The best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin. The opinion and the lesson. Yes.
What's going on, everybody? It's Conrad from Everything Pro Wrestling. Everything Pro Wrestling is a show by the fans, for the fans. And we are bringing a tag team collaborative effort once again. I'm going to give the hot tag to my man, one of the best journalists out there, very underrated dude. You've seen him on the channel before. Don't let him shake his head. Don't let him tell me what he's going to do. It's Mr. Sean Hubbard from Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. What is going on, Sean?
Yo, man, I'm going to be real humble with it right now. I appreciate the invite and the introduction. It's a blessing to be here. You're my brother, and we're going to get into some things. Hubbard Wrestling Weekly's in the building. EPW's in the building. After this, only after this, make sure you go check out what me and Conrad put together for the Ric Flair Part 1 retrospective, but we're going to get into some real heavy things right here and now.
Yes, we're going to talk about Vince McMahon. I don't have any picture set up. This is going to be me and Sean just talking raw, uncut, keeping it real. Today, we got some news that I never thought I would see. I happened to just be scrolling through Twitter. I refreshed. I saw my man Positively E, who's in the chat. I refreshed, and he sent me a DM too, and I looked. I was like, nah, I didn't see what I just said. That has to be a joke account. Right. Let me make sure there's not a 0 instead of an O in McMahon or something. But no, Vince McMahon announced he was retired from WWE. And this isn't just like, oh, he's retiring from CEO or anything. He's retired from creative. He's retired from being in the building. This is like the pack your stuff up, put it in a box, and we'll see you when we see you. You know, maybe there'll be a party. Vince McMahon is gone from WWE. And Sean, I'm going to kick it to you first, man. Gut reactions to this.
I'm in shock, man. You know what I'm saying? It's fun. It's crazy how things work out sometimes, because you think about the history of the industry, and it's one of those things. Yeah, B-boy, definitely been a crazy week. You think about the history of this industry, and you think about how important Vince McMahon has been to this industry, been to this business. We would not be here as it relates to pro wrestling journalism if it wasn't for Vince McMahon. For all the love we show the Jim Crockett's and the Eric Bischoffs and the Vern Gagne's, I'm showing my my historical expertise here. There's nothing without Vince. So Vince stepping down, we're going to get into the reason why probably it happened, but regardless, he stepped down, and it's definitely a monumental moment in the history of pro wrestling, and probably even bigger than what we thought was the previous most monumental history in moment in pro wrestling, which was when he bought WCW. This trumps that for sure.
This is a day that I don't think any of us saw coming, and shout out to everybody who's in the chat. It's a late night. Guys, make sure you throw up a like on the video. If you're watching this after the fact, throw a comment on that. Helps just as much. It is all greatly appreciated by me, Sean. Subscribe to Sean's channel too. For those who are just getting in here late, we did do a Ric Flair career retrospective to line up with Ric Flair's final match. It's going to be on Fight TV. If you guys do want to order that, please make sure that you do. But let's get into more of the comments here. Pro Wrestling Shoot, they just did a 3-minute video on this. I saw their little quick short. What's going on, Jesse? Sick in the house. He says Vince McMahon retires from WWE. Brock Lesnar throws a childlike tantrum and walks out the company that same night. Knuckles Dragon. There's fixed the title for you. Let's see here. Matt Lopez says, good evening, Matt. What's going on, man? Day 1A. I appreciate you. Anyone catch Comic-Con news? Marvel dropping sick news on their Big 4 animation projects. I have not seen that yet, bro. If you guys see it, send me a DM. Let's see. He said, I wonder why Michael Cole didn't take time out to call Brock unprofessional. Maybe he's bestowed that responsibility to Corey Graves. We'll see on Monday.
I got comments about that. Freaking coward.
Yeah. E said, I got my boogie shoes on. Ding dong, the witch is dead. Good Lord. Connor knows soccer. What's going on, Connor? Casey said, I called it on the phone with you this morning. You did, good sir. Shout out to Casey Briggs. CJ said, tell me you didn't just say that. Tell me you did not. It happened, bro. It happened. You called it. There will be no pro wrestling without Vince. I don't know about that. I think it would always have existed, but I don't know if it would be on the scale that it's on now without Vince McMahon. It was about time his stale ass was holding things back. Vince is still a majority stockholder for now. Yeah, I don't know how that works. I'm going to have to look up some laws and dig a little bit deeper into that for us. We even got ROH and New Japan shout out from Xavier Woods tonight. See, Vince ain't been gone 24 hours and things are already looking up for that company. He did say that tonight on SmackDown. Matt Lopez is telling me check the DMs. I ain't buying Flair thing if it's over 20 bones. Who's on the card? Y'all talk about that on the podcast. Monday, we'll be live here.
We'll be live and talking about that, yes.
We will be discussing that. We'll also talk about the second half of Ric Flair's career, so make sure you guys tune in on Monday, and we'll run down the entire card for what we know. Jesus DeLeon, what's going on, Jesus? SmackDown reviews are not that good, sir. We still got to prove ourselves before we start bringing back WWE reviews to the channel. Doug says, hey, yo, where you at, Kush? What's going on, Doug? Appreciate you coming in here. What's done in the dark will eventually come to the light, and Max's rap was good, Conrad. What did you think? It was a good rap. Triple H spent his recovery watching The Sopranos and took notes. Just saying. Woo! That's a bold claim right there. That the Papa John guys owns most of the shares of his company too. Didn't work out for him too well. Just saying. Okay. All right. Well, Sean gave his initial thoughts. I was shocked by it as well. I think we're all in here, and we can all say we were WWE fans at some point in our life. We had to have been because of the way it was marketed, the way they set up everything. Vince McMahon, I believe, was put in the position. I've actually been listening to a lot of stuff, Sean, about Jim Crockett recently.
Right.
And that is me getting into what the history of pro wrestling is. And how did Vince McMahon get to the level he did? And somebody asked, well, what did Vince do better than Jim Crockett? And it was actually his ability to
manipulate.
I think it was the business core behind it. Like Jim Crockett was so small because they didn't want people to know what wrestling was in the 80s. And Vince started building this empire and expanding to like top marketing people. He put business people in those spots, they said. And that was the big difference they thought that hurt Jim Crockett, that he tried to keep it too regional and Vince was thinking larger scale. What do you think of that?
You're not wrong. You're not wrong. But the fact of the matter is Vince McMahon was a scoundrel, bro. Vince McMahon was a scoundrel in every sense of the word. He manipulated and lied to his competitors, bro. He manipulated and lied to his competitors.
Let me jump in real quick right there. You're not wrong that he manipulated and lied to his competitors, but Vince McMahon did set up a good infrastructure of talent. He grabbed people from all of the best territories. He had all of the best wrestlers, but I will say, I think his business acumen behind the scenes goes untold. I don't think that the people behind the scenes who got the toys made, all that stuff, that's what I'm talking about. That never really got the props or credit that I think it deserved. I don't know if that makes any more sense to you. That's what I'm referring to.
It makes all the sense in the world, but at the same time, I feel like when you look at the infrastructure of the wrestling business, where it was and where it is now, there's no question that Vince McMahon took away from those who actually helped make him. You got to understand, Vince McMahon sat up here and allowed himself to be this multi-million dollar, billion-dollar showstopper, for lack of better terms, at the expense of everybody else, bro. At the expense of everybody else. I don't like to talk about people's mothers, fathers, families, but, I just don't believe that Vince Sr., none of us were even thoughts in our mother's minds when Vince Sr. was around. But the bottom line is we all do our research. Vince Sr. didn't do business that way. Vince Sr., when he shook your hand, he sat up here and he honored what he said he was going to do. When Vince McMahon Sr. said he wasn't going to compete, he didn't compete. When Vince McMahon said he wasn't going to pillage other people's talents, he didn't. Vince McMahon Jr. shook people in the hand, said, I will not steal from you, I will not manipulate your talents, I will not take your talents, and he lied right to Vince McMahon can lie to you, look you dead in the face, and not think twice about it. That's the problem. Now, because of his cutthroat business acumen, is he the greatest wrestling promoter of all time? 100%. But you know what? Let me tell you something, bro. Let me tell you something. When you conduct yourself in that way, in certain arenas, you conduct yourself in that way in other arenas. And it's because he conducts himself or has conducted himself in the same cutthroat manner. Follow me on this. The same cutthroat manner that he conducts himself in the business room or in the boardroom is the same way clearly he conducts himself outside the boardroom, which is what come back to haunt him. So let's be real. Let's talk some real life and some pro wrestling right now.
All right. So listen, I see people going back and forth in the chat. Listen, at the end of the day, if Vince still has the majority of the shares, that's fine. He's making money off the product, but he doesn't have any say in the product unless he's going through his family or someone else that he's still connected to within that company. And we could talk all day about this, but let's jump into some of the other realness that you brought up. Vince McMahon's history of what he's done in the past, the cutthroat businessman, the guy who called up to make sure you're not showing this WCW Clash of the Champions stuff when WrestleMania is on, or you're not getting WrestleMania.
Come on, bro. Talk about, that's what I'm talking about right there.
Yeah, he put stuff on the line. This is the same dude. Listen, people can say it's not true and we don't know. This is true.
We weren't there, but come on, man.
Listen, I had an argument with someone. Who do you think called Domino's when AEW had a death match on and a Domino's ad was shown? Hey, there's a pizza cutter in a death match. Is this how you want your product to be represented? I don't know any fans who are calling up Domino's sales ad team to say something like that. That is wrestling garbage 101 to where they're going back and forth with it. That's just what it is.
You sit up here, you manipulate, you sit up here, you do deals under the table, you sit up here and you show the world that you're willing to do anything short of selling your soul to be the best wrestling promoter in the world. You know what? You were successful. But karma's real, bro. And I'm not going to sit up here and preach to y'all tonight. That's not what this show is about. But let me tell you something. This story is more about real life than it is about wrestling. And we're going to get into wrestling. That's what we're here for. But this story is more about real life than it is about wrestling. You can't treat people this way and expect, I don't care if it's from a biblical standpoint, reaping what you sow. I don't care if it's the worldly way you put it about karma. I don't care if you want to go the hood route and say payback's a bitch. I don't care which way you want to go with it. It's the same premise. These things come back full circle, man. You know what I'm saying? I don't wish no bad on nobody, so I'm not wishing bad on Vince McMahon. But let me tell you something, bro. When you treat people like garbage, and let's call a spade, man. He treated people like garbage.
You're not wrong.
You know,
you're not wrong. There have been lots of promises that were broken, lots of lies told throughout all of this. Why? Because it's pro wrestling, and that's what happens in pro wrestling. And it's probably going to continue to happen because you can't please everybody. But let's look at other people besides Vince, because this just doesn't affect one man. This affects a lot of people.
Let's do it.
We have people in new positions, Sean. Stephanie McMahon, who was the interim CEO, is now the co-CEO with Nick Khan. So it seems like the things that we were all talking, does Stephanie get the company from her father and they keep the McMahon name in? Or does Nick Khan, the guy who's been making all the business moves and cuts for them, does he finally get the nod? And I feel like the board came to some kind of agreement. It would be best if we have a McMahon name attached, because for those who don't understand, to us, we know what's going on behind the scenes in WWE. To probably average day stockholder, they don't know, and they know Vince McMahon is the king of pro wrestling. It's been in all the media for years. Vince McMahon runs everything in their mind. I know you guys are smarter than that, but in their mind, Vince McMahon runs wrestling. keep Stephanie's name attached, and Nick Khan has been known as a big player when it comes to the entertainment world. So now they have them both in there. Very odd. Triple H. They made it sound like Triple H was the last man on earth. Triple H is getting wheeled into his office in a chair to just sign paperwork. Triple H said, I feel fresh as a daisy today. I'm back in my position. John Laurinaitis is donezo. He's donezo. If it hasn't been official, he is done. I'm telling you. They already replaced your job, bro. You're through. The fear then comes into, well, I'll let you speak on those first, and then we'll get into other people who this will affect afterwards.
Well, I have a little trepidation as it relates to Stephanie, because I believe Stephanie is a reflection of her father. So that's the reason why I have a little bit of trepidation when it comes to the idea that Stephanie's taking over, because I don't think there'll be much change. I hope there's change. I hope there's going to be a little bit of a refresher now that the old regime is gone. But I think Stephanie's just a younger version of Vince. I would have much rather seen Shane McMahon take the reins, if possible, even though that's kind of a pipe dream at this point. I would have much rather see if they announced Triple H as the new chairman. I would have liked that, but I don't think that would ever be the case either. So, first of all, John Laurinaitis is a joke. We all know that. John Laurinaitis has been a joke for a long time. Glad to see him go or on his way out the door. The Khan family as a whole, he clearly a business-minded, mogul who's it's best to have somebody like that in your back pocket just to make sure that things are running smoothly. But again, a great deal of trepidation, man, because at the end of the day, you look at what it is and you say to yourself, okay, you know what? Stephanie's in charge. We see what happened when Stephanie was in charge last time. Now, Stephanie was never really in charge, but Stephanie has been kind of like the de facto, I guess you could say, heir to the throne for a long time, especially with Shane not necessarily being his father's best graces. So now it's like, okay, we got Stephanie. Be careful what you wish for. I'm not happy about Stephanie, but at the same time, I know that there's time for a change. Vince McMahon had to go, but are we going to be satisfied a year from now? I have my doubts.
I got a question for you too, from a kayfabe standpoint. Was Linda ever the CEO, officially of WWE?
I believe Linda had that title for a short time.
But Vince always had the chairs, though, right?
That's what it always was. Yes, 100%.
Okay, so I wanted to make sure that's understood, because I feel like that's what the relationship's going to be with Stephanie and Triple H as well. I feel like Triple H is going to do the wrestling side of things, and Stephanie's going to be the CEO, the face, the business side of things with them as well. I would
like you to be right about that, but I have my doubts that a McMahon can take a backseat to anyone, even if it's her husband.
Hey, you're not wrong. And people in here are bringing up some really good points. I want to go back to Casey's point here. He said, for sure, this shows that nobody's untouchable, but you're missing my points in the family, and that's a fact. And he is on this. He thinks Triple H was the one who leaked that info. I'm going to tell you guys this. I said this when this first came out. Somebody got this dude at the end of the day. I don't care what you believe. Somebody knew those files existed, and they leaked that stuff to everybody. They were like, he's got to go. I don't know if Vince spoke to someone wrong that day or what, but those files stayed hidden from the time I was 18. I'm in my 30s now. That's a long time for files to stay hidden, and nobody knew a thing about them. And then all of a sudden, poof, open Pandora's box and everything came out. Definitely.
Triple H knows controversy. Triple H stood by his best friend when he was embroidered in the biggest on-screen controversy of all time. Triple H doesn't one thing I believe about Triple H as he's gotten older. I don't believe Triple H is about foolishness. I don't believe Triple H is about BS. I think Triple H wants to do things the right way as he's gotten older and matured. I can't say that with 100% of surety about the McMahons, and maybe there's a rift because of it.
Could be. Popo, shout out to King Louie in the chat. He said Vince knows how to get the business to grow. He made WWE more than wrestling. Every successful businessman has stepped on people's throats to get there. Was it right? No, but that's a reality.
King, I agree with you, but at the same time, when you treat people that way, you have to expect comeuppance. I'm not saying he's the greatest wrestling promoter of all time. He did what he felt he needed to do to become the greatest wrestling promoter of all time. You know what? Vern Gagne, Jim Crockett, they were able to sleep at night. I don't think Vince is going to be able to sleep at night. That's what I'm trying to say.
Let me see here. Going back to Six says Vince is lucky he had Stephanie take the crown instead. Shane might have told his dad to go F himself.
And that would have been a dream scenario for me.
Casey also says, I'm annoyed with how positively they're allowing him to retire. His positive tweet announcement like he just decided to finally retire rather than being forced out. The thank you Vince chants on SmackDown, it's gross. And he said, that's fact. Shane's been smart enough to make his own money in his adult life. Yeah, Shane knew kind of when to step away.
Can I respond to that real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Shout out to Casey. Did you notice, though? First of all, I agree with everything you said. Secondly, did you see how those thank you Vince chants died down very quickly? That was not a vibrant thank you Vince chant. That was a coached thank you Vince chant that was almost dead even before the Street Profits music started to play.
Yeah. Stephanie did try to force him out too, though. Like, she tried to get people into it, and she's in a weird position being the daughter. You know what I mean? Like, that's your pops up there too. And
stay dedicated to your father. I do the same thing, but let's embrace reality here. You know what? You want to announce that Vince is leaving? Let him announce that Vince is leaving. The tweet was enough. Don't insult our intelligence, Conrad. Don't insult our intelligence by sitting up here and having this farewell when we know why he's quitting. He's not quitting because he truly thinks it's time to pass the torch. He's quitting because he's mired in scandal. So let's just move on.
I agree. And you know what? Six said, look, I'm not saying Vince didn't change the landscape of wrestling, at least how we watch it today, but the guy has big and bloody skeletons in his closet, and he's backing out before they come out. Not wrong here. And shout out to Ace. And Matt Lopez brings up my next point that I want to bring up to everybody in here. We talked about the new spots for people. What about people in the old spots who I feel are in danger? Who's in danger? Kevin Dunn. This man has been camera cutting. Hold on. I got to turn the cat backwards for this. This man has been camera cutting. Bing, 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 bing. I'm sick of it. He's got to go. He's trash. All right. Like, he better just, if he doesn't do whatever they say, got to go. That whole your dad saved the tape libraries, that ain't going to work no more. And people aren't going to have it. Also, Bruce Pritchard. Now, I can see some people having a little, like, you know, a little heart.
I have mixed feelings about that one. Yeah.
Bruce is kind of weird because some people like something to wrestle with. I've listened to it. I like Bruce telling stories. Bruce does he does great voices. I like to do Dusty's voice too, if you will. That's for the Stinger. That's for Luga. That's not for you, Daddy. All right? You could do all of that stuff. And Bruce has been probably known as the funny man, but he's been a right-hand ace to Vince. A lot of Vince's other aces, they're gone. There's no more Gerald Briscoe. There's no more Pat Patterson. Vince's aces are gone. And Bruce got brought back by Vince to be his ace once again because he needed somebody in that role. Is it going to be the same for them? Are they going to last? And I think I have to put the wrestlers out there too on notice. So we're going to get into Brock in 1 second. But Brock Lesnar, the behavior that we've seen backstage, Sean, of throwing a championship belt at your boss, I'm pretty sure that's not going to fly with this new regime. I think this is going to get even more corporate than it already has been. And I think there's a lot of fear. And chat, please let us know what you think, and I'll try to get into some of those after. But I'm going to kick it to Sean because I want to hear what Sean thinks of some of these.
All right, so here's my take on Bruce Pritchard. Bruce Pritchard is a victim of circumstance. Bruce Pritchard has been doing his thing for quite a while. He was off the scene for a while, got fired, recreated himself, redefined himself with the podcast, got himself back into a mainstream audience with the podcast, as well as the work he did in TNA. And then he got rehired. And I don't blame him for taking the old job back. Anybody would like to have a job in that position. But the Vince that he knew in the 80s is not the Vince McMahon that he came back to. Vince in the 80s, Vince in the 90s was a cutthroat, backstabbing, shoot you between the eyes kind of guy. But he was in touch. He got away with this stuff because Vince McMahon was still good and still doing his thing from a creative standpoint. See, now you have Vince McMahon, when Bruce Pritchard comes back, he's under the regime now of the new Vince. The new Vince is still cutthroat, is still a backstabber, is still going to shoot you between the eyes, but the fans and the wrestling world are seeing Vince as an out-of-touch relic. And when you hang out with out-of-touch relics, you become an out-of-touch relic. So Bruce Pritchard will be gone. That's number one. Number two, Brock Lesnar is going to get away with whatever he wants. I'm not saying that it's right, but Brock Lesnar is the only attraction in WWE that's not named Roman Reigns or Jimmy or Jey Uso. That's going to main event a pay-per-view, that is. Period. Riddle's on the rise. Seth is always there. There's probably others. Randy Orton if he comes back. Theory's on the rise. But Brock Lesnar in 2022, July of 2022, thank God that Brock Lesnar's there. All the complaints about Brock Lesnar being part-time, having bad attitude, shouldn't have broke the streak. You ought to be fortunate that he's there because Roman Reigns wouldn't have an opponent without Brock Lesnar. And I'm no Brock Lesnar fan. I'm just speaking fast. But to answer your question, Brock Lesnar is going to continue getting away with what he wants to get away with because he's a major attraction and he's one of only a handful of guys that can legitimately main event a pay-per-view. Bruce Pritchard, victim of circumstance. His loyalty to Vince is now going to get him fired. I think he should be fired because when you go into a new job, even if it's a job you're returning to, you have to carve out your own niche. You have to be man enough to say, Vince, this is not working. And he never does that. He goes along with Vince.
That is also true. I've heard that they've had arguments with it sometimes, but maybe it's peaceful. Who knows? We're not back there. We weren't by Vince's pool with him, the kids, Linda, and Pat while they're doing creative booking in the 80s. And did you want to touch on Kevin Dunn at all? You didn't mention him yet.
Kevin Dunn, the camera cuts are common. I want to be fired just because of the camera cuts.
Thank goodness. And I know some people are going to have to make the jokes about him from all the Cornette interviews and stuff, calling him Bucky Beaver and everything else. But Kevin Dunn has truly been in that position just for far too long. And maybe it's time for a different look on things. Going back to the comments here, Sick, we'll start with him. He said, and yes, Vince was out of touch. I honestly believe this is good for WWE. Despite what people may think, WWE has always had a place in my heart, but I'd be foolish to not notice a major dip in quality. Okay. For all we know, Nick Khan may have leaked them. That's if I'm a betting man, that's who my money's on. I think it was Nick Khan.
How do you ascend to the throne? You overthrow the king.
Yeah, and he was doing it slowly but surely. Look at how everybody was slowly moved out. Triple H out of and like all this stuff happened for a reason, and I can't wait to hear the backstory.
But I prefer to run with the Triple H theory. That's more of a sexy theory to me. That's more of an attractive.
That's definitely the DVD.
If it ever came out that Paul Levesque is the reason that Vince McMahon got exposed,
that puts the click over the top.
Oh my God!
Sean went and distracted him, and I went and got him.
And then the very next live show that they do, whether it be Raw or SmackDown, Triple H music hits, and the crowd goes insane.
Oh my goodness! And let's be honest, WWE will never truly be done with Vince until he travels to spiritual plane. Jeez Louise! Until that funk will continue to linger in those hallways and on my TV, and they're still going to probably bring him back one day for a Hall of Fame induction. We're going to wait till this all dies down.
Probably this year, I can see it happening in April. April's still many months away.
Remember, the word was Triple H was the one that called the heads of MSG when ROH New Japan was running MSG. That is true. Triple H knows how to keep a secret. All his friends and mentors are junkies. Jeez Louise. Vince has no soul, bro. I think he sleeps well, thumb in mouth and all. Gotta think, WSJ didn't just write the article overnight, so this was leaked to them a little while back. Possibly when Triple H was pushed out. I'm just saying, now that he's being forced out, Triple H is back. Vince don't sleep anyways because he's always working. Doesn't have a guilty bone in his body. Shane wasn't going to get nothing. Shane's been fired many times. Stephanie and Triple H been renewed every time. He's quitting because the WSJ were working on more stories and they're talking to more former female talents. Someone said fire Dunn. Triple H is going to have a good time firing Dunn. Bruce sucks. He's got to go. talking about who's to go next, talk about who's coming back. Will Triple H be able to smooth things out with some of those relationships due to the firings? Casey, that's a good point to bring up, and I wanted to bring that up to you, Sean. There's some people that we can bring up right now. Can Triple H fix the Sasha Banks and Naomi situation first? I'm going to put that one on you first.
I think that he can fix it.
Time out. Let me cheap plug this. Go to Sean's podcast page. Me and Sean had a nice conversation. It was so big, Sean had to do it twice. He did one by himself ranting as well. Go listen to Sean go off about that. It is genuinely one of the best rants I've ever heard. Back to you, sir.
Appreciate that, man. I was pissed. I'm still pissed about that. Triple H could fix it, but I don't think that he will. What I mean by that is I think he has an in with Naomi because of Jimmy. So I think that's easy. That's a way that can be fixed. I think he has leverage as it relates to Jimmy. He has no leverage when it comes to Sasha Banks. Sasha Banks can be a multi-millionaire all by herself. Sasha is a megastar.
I just wonder if the NXT love is going to play a factor in any of this. Like, I trusted him before he did right by me. Can I trust him again now?
I mean, I'm sure Sasha has love for Triple H, and I'm sure it's not anything personal. But if Sasha comes back to WWE, she deserves everything she gets. I think Sasha Banks has been blessed, and that's a big word I'm using, blessed with an opportunity to walk away, and wherever she goes, she's going to have her fans follow her, and she is a brand all to herself.
No lie right there. Now, we brought up Naomi already. What about someone who hasn't been signed yet? A Johnny Gargano. He hasn't really made a decision. He hasn't decided where he's going. Could you see Johnny Gargano being influenced now? Triple H is back? Vince is gone?
I don't want to be that guy that says everybody should leave WWE, but I will be that guy that says if you've already got a foot out the door, just keep going. The world outside of WWE is so much more free and so much more opportunistic than what WWE is. The world outside of those doors are creative freedom. The world outside of those doors are being able to work for multiple promotions. The world outside of those doors are more endorsement deals and more opportunities to do your own thing. The world outside of those doors is the ability to be yourself. That's what's outside of these doors. Don't go. I'm not saying everybody should leave, like, oh, Roman Reigns should leave WWE. No, that'd be stupid to say something like that. But somebody already got a foot out the door. Don't turn back. Don't turn back.
You know where you can kind of tell where the story is going with you usually. Shout out to Ricochet, who wasn't on SmackDown tonight. Just saying, like, you know where the story is going with you. You can see how they book you. People are bringing up spring cleaning. So, Sean, how about this? What about people who left already that were released and went to AEW? That, let's say their contracts come up. Can Triple H attract some of them back, do you think? Is there anybody in particular that you're like, Triple H, you have to make amends with X, Y, and Z to get them back to the WWE? Is there somebody you want to see him take back that went to AEW or to Impact or elsewhere?
Well, the obvious answer that everybody would say that's obvious but yet will never happen is CM Punk, right? That's never going to happen. But I think a very viable, depending on how long his contract is with AEW, I think a Daniel Bryan reconciliation is possible. But again, I have angles for everything that I say. Like, I believe Daniel Bryan, there can be reconciliation as it relates to Daniel Bryan because of the Bella Twins. Can't stand the Bella Twins, but the Bella Twins. I think that there can be an Adam Cole reconciliation. And I believe that the Adam Cole reconciliation could also lead to a Britt Baker conversation as well. So Triple H can make some of these things happen. But for the Johnny Garganos, and especially for the Sasha Bankses of the world, no. But yes, reconciliation. I think a Daniel Bryan reconciliation is possible. I think an Adam Cole reconciliation. I think a Cesaro reconciliation is possible. But it would take a lot to convince them.
Right, because now they're on the other side. And I think Tony also has to be mindful of this, though. The person that you treat bad could be your worst enemy going down the line. So he's got to think about this, too, on all sides of wrestling right now.
And if I were Adam Cole, just as using Adam Cole as a reference point, now that I'm wrestling in front of 20,000 people every night, don't you dare send me back down to NXT.
Yeah, not to what it's become, because it's not what we wanted.
Right.
What about Cody Rhodes? Should he be fearful at all, Sean? Like, he's out still. He's still got a few months' time. This is a lot of time now. So now this is a new vision. Triple H, Stephanie. We don't know who head of creative is going to be. It could be Paul Heyman. We don't know. We don't know what they want to do just yet. What do you do if you're Cody Rhodes? You're out for another, I don't know, would you say 6 more months, let's just say? They were probably going to keep him out till the Rumble. You could go that route still, and that seems like the route everybody will still want them to go, and you still have to build that good relationship so that people will want to come over to WWE, but you also have to build up a bunch of new people now. This SummerSlam card looks buns. I'm not even joking. You guys wonder why I don't talk about WWE. This card looks doo-doo. Like, we've seen it all already. It's rematches. What do you think here? What do you think about, like, could Cody get lost in the shuffle? Could he be forgotten about in this new regime now?
What did I say about Vince when this whole thing got started tonight? When you brought me on the air, you asked me my opinion, and I told you what I thought about Vince. I told you that I don't wish any ill will on anybody, but karma is real, right? That's what I said. Same thing applies to Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes made a huge mistake. Let me tell you something, bro. Let me tell all of your wonderful listeners, let me tell you, my brother, something that's a life lesson. You do not get blessed with an opportunity to leave somewhere where you've been oppressed. I know oppressed sounds like a really dramatic and over-the-top word, but oppression can come in many different forms. You do not leave a place where you were oppressed, okay, or however it was done. I'm doing the Stardust thing. I don't know how it goes. Okay, thank you. You don't leave somewhere where you've been oppressed. Get a reprieve, okay? Get a reprieve. Then get an opportunity to do your own thing. That own thing that you create or help create becomes successful. And then you go back to where you were oppressed for money. Nothing's going to work out. Cody Rhodes will get lost in the shuffle, and Cody Rhodes will regret the decision that he made to come to WWE.
Ooh, that's a bold statement right there. I can't wait to read through the chat. Let's get through some of this real quick. Spring cleaning. Steph needs to boot out all of Vince's buddies, just clear house and bring in her own team. People who are young and love wrestling and not the sports entertainment BS. E says, Bruce took over SmackDown and it instantly turned into 2001 corny, made them old holiday party-ass sketches. Hold on now. SmackDown wasn't bad in 01. It didn't get bad.
SmackDown was good when Heyman was running the show. You talking about Heyman? You talking about, like, before Heyman?
He said 2001, so I just wanted...
2001 was Austin and Rock, and it was great.
Yeah. I mean, we did have, like, those eggnog matches and the Thanksgiving matches.
You know, it wasn't perfect, but it was good.
Yeah. I agree about Karma, Popo says. He says, Vince seems like the type of person who has no conscience. He might have karma and still blame everyone else.
I'm showing my age here. I'm in my 30s. My grandfather used to always tell me, God rest his soul, it's not about how you sleep, it's about how you wake up.
Facts. 6 says, yeah, Brock threw what, a 15 to 25-pound belt at Vince's head and got called an a-hole. Titus O'Neil tries to hug Vince on a national television, almost got fired for it. Just going to leave it there.
Thank you.
And we didn't bring up the whole Brock Lesnar threatening to walk. Well, I guess he did walk out, was the reported news that we were getting today. He showed up at the end of SmackDown, so I'm glad I didn't come on here spewing all that stuff. But still, this behavior is okay for Brock, but it wasn't okay for Sasha and Naomi. The double standards are real, and you have to look at the differences, whether it's male, female.
I'm not going to sit up here and mention the elephant in the room, because there's no reason to mention the elephant that it can be plainly seen, okay? There's a commonality, okay? I'm not gonna disrespect my brother's show like that and go too deep, but there's a commonality that even a blind man can see.
And there's no lie there when it comes to it. Like I said, I think Brock knew his days of doing that. Bro, they were done. You're not going to be up here throwing belts anymore at people, especially corporate people that work within the company anymore. They're just not going to let you do that. I think the problem was that he became more obsessed with growing profit than making good wrestling. Now, Sean, I want to bring up another good point here. I listened to little thing on Jim Cornette about the TV-14. If you want to chime in on TV-14, feel free. If you think that's going to make things better or not. I follow along the lines of our friend Kyron, though, when it comes to that. It doesn't matter what the rating is. But when it comes to the idea of wrestlers getting guaranteed contracts, that's when Cornette said people started getting lazy. Because you already knew what you were making, you just got to show up and you could phone it in because I already know how much money I'm getting at the end of the year.
Yeah, that's true.
And he said that WWE became the corporate version of a wrestler with that contract. They've got guaranteed money coming in from Saudi. Who cares what we do for the rest of the year? It doesn't matter. We're getting paid. And he thinks that was a big problem. What do you want to say on those topics?
I think that's 100% right. I think when you're making money hand over fist, it's hard to avoid. Thank you, man. I appreciate that. Shout out to that. I appreciate that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Humbly, I appreciate that. I think when you're making money hand over fist, it's easy to become complacent. Oh, Vince, the product sucks. Vince, the product sucks. Vince, the product sucks. It does suck, but you're still making money at an alarming rate. It's hard not to be complete. Like, I'm making money hand over fist by sleepwalking. So why would I wake up?
Doesn't it remind you of WCW in a crazy kind of way? What they became?
No, it does not. It does not. Because...
No. Hear me out, though, on why I'm saying this. WCW had this big empire. They could just funnel money in, and it worked for a little bit. But then it all came tumbling down. Like, we all started to notice the BS and everything else. The only difference is there's more money in Vince, and he just can prove it with longevity now. It's just sad to watch, like, dude, you're resting on your laurels, and it's going to come back to haunt you.
Heard you. But I would say it's different for one reason and one reason only. Ted Turner's money was Ted Turner's money. I know that sounds, what are you talking about? This is like different kind of money. This is money that's coming in from many different avenues. WWE has a stream of money that even Ted Turner in the 90s could not have. Now, everybody knows that Ted Turner was like a massive mogul, and in the 1990s, he could outspend Vince. But that money was eventually going to run out, and the momentum was going to run out. Vince took WWE public. Vince has stockholders. It's a much different situation. And unfortunately for all of us, 2022, how, I don't know, but 2020, the 2022 fiscal year was the best in WWE's history. The best in its history. So it's different. It's different. Vince McMahon had unlimited resources that he earned by setting himself up. I'll give him credit for that. Eric Bischoff spent a billionaire's money, but he didn't spend it frivolously.
Correct. I will give you that. WWE was always a wrestling company that went corporate. WCW was a corporate company that went wrestling, if that makes any sense. Like, they were trying to just produce a show that Ted Turner liked. And once he wasn't the main person you had to satisfy, gone. Bryan Danielson has never had a bad thing to say about WWE. He loved that company. He literally went only to AEW because he wanted to push himself. Vince wouldn't let him wrestle like that.
Hence why the Bryan Danielson, a.k.a. Daniel Bryan, would have no issue going back. That's why I said that I think it'll work out.
Casey said, the person you treat bad, damn, Marco's going to be main event in Raw soon. Thorne and TK side. Come on now. Marco Stunt ain't showing up on Raw, I don't think. Danielson and Claudio ain't got a lot of gas left in the tank. Yeah, they've been around a while. I think you can see one more run for each of them on their next contracts. With Vince gone, a Forbidden Door featuring AEW and WWE might be possible now. Literally anything is possible now that Triple H must have heard about that pay-per-view AEW did with New Japan and lost his mind. Triple H needs to stop with these stupid names. Yeah, he could try to fix that. Cody, WrestleMania 2 rematch party. That ain't happening, bro. Cody talks a lot of trash on Triple H. He not anymore. Boo Cody. Preach, my man. Cody has karma coming his way. They were feeling you on that, Sean.
Thank you. Just telling the truth.
Triple H is about to bury Cody, and it's going to be tasty AF.
You took a sledgehammer. You know, come on, bro. You took a sledgehammer to the image of Triple H's throne. Okay? The world was at your fingertips. Everybody was talking about you. You were the man. You spat in Triple H's face. You know what? I'll take it a step further. Cody Rhodes, sellout.
We also got yelled at by E. Y'all out here defending the alliance. Nobody's defending the alliance.
Defending the alliance.
Canyon's still the MVP though. Forever Canyon. Who better?
Canyon.
I got my boogie shoes on, ready for Cody's downfall. I wonder what promise they made to Brock to get him to come back. I wonder. Matt Lopez, the promise was a facelift. Huh?
That he's going to win at SummerSlam?
Could be. Popo says the decision can be hard. You could be a star playing and one b-ball where you can do whatever tricks you want, or you could be a role player in the NBA making more money on the grandest stage with less freedom.
True, and I think that's a Cody Rhodes reference, but at the same time, when you sit up here and you decide that you're going to be an A1 ball player that says buck the system, you can't go back to the NBA because the NBA is going to remember what you said.
Now, E says, nah, with WCW, they were losing $60 million a year. WWE making that much from Saudi. The merger closed the purse, and that ain't even happening here. WCW was probably losing $60 million on their own as a piece of Warner Media, though.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? Like,
right.
They were still making crazy money. WCW was just a sinkhole, and they were like, yo, we have to get away from this because
right.
they're just eating up money and charging those crazy contracts. And Hall and Nash were still around at the end. Remember what their contract said? You pay him more, you pay me more, and they needed new talent.
The greatest contract in the history of the sport.
Genius, bro. Shout out to Hall for that one. Genius. Actually, shout out to Barry Bloom.
Oh, him too, yeah. That's true.
Barry Bloom's the one who got him those deals. Vince refused to work with him after that because he got so mad that he started teaching him how to get more money out of him. Fun story. I've been to Ted Turner's ranch in Montana. He doesn't allow hunting there, and animals have learned. Legit, thousands of bison on his property. Insanely cool to see.
Nice.
Good story. Cody and the Golden Shovel. They took a sledgehammer to his throne and made an action figure of it. Casey said 1,000% sellout. CJ knows how angry I am about Cody. Screw that guy. Yeah, he did preach kind of a thing, man. Cody's my dude. Y'all hate me.
It's a freaking sellout.
He said Cody. Pro Wrestler Shoot said Cody's my dude. Y'all hating on this man too much.
No. Don't listen. Your show, love you, my brother, but I got to stop on that one.
Our show right now. Go ahead.
Thank you, brother. How are we hating? Pro Wrestling Shoot. I love your name of the name of your show, by the way. Cody Rhodes was Stardust. Cody Rhodes was swimming in the muck of mediocrity. Cody Rhodes was being misused, mishandled, and disrespected for the legacy that he has with his family, father, and brother. Cody Rhodes then makes a way for himself to leave, goes and hits the road, replenishes his legacy, reestablishes his family name, creates a company with the help of others, has that company become the second biggest company in the wrestling world, and then when he gets offered a lump sum of money after he says WWE sucks, after he says WWE treated me bad, after he says I'm going to buck the system, I'm going to change the game, he then goes back. How are we hating? Cody Rhodes played himself. Cody Rhodes, okay, let me say this and then we're going to move on. Cody Rhodes, I'm going to say this very slowly. Cody Rhodes now works for the guy that he humiliated on national television. Cody Rhodes played himself.
Six said Cody about to give Tony Khan that hey big head text after today. Mr. Pro Wrestling 1 is laughing. He said preach while you were talking. Casey said also Cody wasn't cool for wrestling with that injury. It was stupid and dangerous and set a bad precedent. I said what I said. Casey, listen.
I don't know about that.
No, I agree with Casey on this.
Okay.
I do because listen, I know he looked really tough and it was the montage to the old days of wrestling through your injury. You don't have to do that anymore, bro. and you going out there, something bad could have happened on a regular move. Let's say Seth forgets that you got to dive. Let's say Seth slips because he's sweaty from giving you a power bomb in the corner. You could have the same thing that happened to Sting happen. You can't protect yourself with this side because it hurts. You may not be able to react as fast. That's not smart.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong, brother. But I can't escape, as much as I just dogged out Cody for a different reason. For this specific reason, I salute Cody. Look, you're right about everything you said, but Cody held it down for the team. Like that's some gangster crap. Like I respect that. For all the stupid things Cody has done, I respect that.
He went out there and did what he thought he had to do, I guess. Cody is great, but he really made himself look bad. And I agree, and I have a theory also with what it comes to the issues with the Elite, the Bucks and Omega, when they were all EVPs. It was all cool when it first started, but I think what happened was they saw Cody was gunning for a bigger spot. He started doing the stuff that happened in WWE, and they were like, yo, bro, did you use us to get here? Like, what happened? Like, you joined, we invited you to Bullet Club. We took you on the indies with us. Like, we helped make you popular as well. Did you use us? And I think that's why they have this bad blood kind of now where everybody, they seem respectful, but at the same time, it's kind of like, you know, when your friend plays you, but you know.
And let me take it a step further, CK. Not only did Cody play himself, as it relates to now, he's putting himself in a position to get disrespected by WWE all over again. Question. If and when he decides to go back to AEW, how are they going to receive him there?
I don't know. Hold on. We got some responses coming in. But I do think Cody will eventually be WWE champ. I agree, Sick. Just due to the facts that it was already in the works. For all we know, it was probably in the contract somehow. Who knows what Vince promised Cody. And I think Triple H had a great relationship with Dusty. I still think all this stuff's going to happen. Could it go sideways, though? Like I said, if somebody catches fire and things have changed, it's not going to be the same reaction it once was going to be.
Because we all know that WWE won't change his mind, right?
Nas and Jay-Z laugh out loud. Cody and Triple H. Cody wrestling hurt is also WWE's fault for their creative not building enough stars to main event players outside of Roman. Once again.
Now that I agree with.
Hold on. Pro Wrestling Shoot's coming in now to respond. He said, hold up. There is more to that story, my dude. TK and Cody had some stuff going on that will never be released, not to mention fans crying on Cody and AEW. I always thought it was a money problem. Here, this is, once again, don't report this like I'm saying this is a fact. This is my opinion on what I think happened. I think Cody knew how much money Punk was making. Cody's an EVP. He could see the contracts, I'm guessing. And he was like, Punk's getting this much? I'm about to get a nice little raise then, because I've been wrestling some good matches. You have Cody, but Cody, once again, you said it perfectly, Sean. Cody played himself when he started putting stipulations on himself. I can never challenge for the world title again. You'd have messed up, my guy. You can't do that. Exactly. You just can't do that. Because now there's no point in me believing in you for anything. Then he became the gatekeeper. He became the first guy you feud with when you come in. And Cody was really supposed to put a lot of talent over. What happened was he would start trying to defeat them to build himself back up, and we were like, nah, player, we don't want that. I want Malachi to beat you. You know, the new guy's the hot thing in town, so you want him to beat him. Cody played himself, and then when he went to ask for more money, Tony Khan was like, no, I'm not giving you – this is what I'll give you. I'm not giving you more money, though. So Cody is partially to blame, I think, for why he couldn't get the AEW money. What happened was WWE released all those people, 200 wrestlers or so, right? Then they had a big bag to play with, because they knew they were going to have to try to attract some people, and what was it going to take? Big money. Cody saw the big bag, and he went for it. He put his hand in. You know the story, right? With the baboon and the salt that everyone always tells? They set you up, and then your hand swells up because you went in there after the salt because you wanted another taste. That's what could be happening to Cody now. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. And I'm going to finish. He followed up with, this is wrestling business as well. You go where the big money is. You can't hate on this man for taking a big contract.
You're saying hate. Nobody's hating, bro. I'm not saying that I hate that Cody Rhodes. Cody Rhodes did what he had to do for his family, his daughter, his wife. I'm not mad at that. I'm just trying to say that Cody Rhodes, from a wrestling perspective, has played himself. I'm not going to say I don't think I'm wrong. I know I'm not wrong. Cody got to the bag. I'm not mad he got to the bag. Cody's going to have that money. That money's guaranteed money. But you know what? If you end up fighting for the United States title, that's something you have to live with.
That is true. Cody was already being groomed to be a viable threat to Roman. So yeah, we still don't have a lot of believable people to beat Roman as well. He'll get the strap. No telling how long that title run will last, but yeah, he'll get the big one.
We'll see.
Go ahead.
No, I said we'll see.
Okay, facts. Cody only has himself to blame for AEW fans turning on him. His own poor decisions and refusal to follow what the fans are wanting. Yeah, that brings me up to what Rob said. Rob turned on him. Shout out to Rob from EP Dub. They turned on him for him when he did that segment with the Go-Go and the whole, like, it was weird. You know what I mean? For my daughter Liberty, and I'm going to fight for this country. You're cunt? What are you talking about, bro? You're supposed to be an EVP. It just got really weird. Cody, forgotten about already. You kind of see it. TK stripped the EVPs of their power. I think he just honed it in a little bit. Like, nah, you guys gotta chill.
He just kind of he minimized it a little bit.
Also, the pro wrestling shoot. Absolutely, it's a money thing. But then don't cry about the creative you're given. Don't cry about Stardust. You lose the right to complain. You took the check.
What did I just say? Same thing. If he ends up fighting on main event, that won't happen, obviously. I'm being facetious. But if you end up on the first segment of SmackDown fighting for the United States title, remember why.
Cody was getting booed after the Anthony Ogogo's and Evil Foreigner, God Bless America crap. Let's see. Pro Wrestling Shoe said, I'll admit Cody backed himself in the corner, but to be honest, I think the goal always has been to get to the WWE main event spotlight to bring honor to his family's name. I really don't blame him.
Well, if that's the case, and you're probably, I'll give you that. That probably is the goal. He just went about it in the worst, most stupid way possible.
Dude had 100-foot long cape in Queens, New York, talking about I ain't going heel. F you mean. Yeah. But let's get back to Vince real quick, Sean. Let's put a bow on this episode here.
Yeah.
Vincent Kennedy McMahon, final thoughts on the man's legacy, and where do you want to see WWE go forward from here?
The greatest promoter in wrestling history, the most cutthroat promoter in wrestling history, and in life you reap what you sow. That's his legacy. As far as where WWE goes from here, I actually like the TV 14 rating. The problem is this, and I'm going to use an analogy to finish off my statement. I'm going to use a quick analogy, and I'm going to let you finish this thing up, my brother. TV 14 opens a door. But if you don't walk through it, it doesn't make a difference if the door is open or not. That's my feeling.
All right. Okay. Are you saying take it to the fullest level of TV 14, or are you just saying use it and build better television?
I'm saying use it and build better television. The opportunity is there. If you don't take it, it makes no difference. If you take it, it makes all the difference in the world. Are we confident WWE will use this to its advantage? I'm not. And I'm sure many people are not either. I'm sure there's a lot of trepidation and a lot of question marks because everybody's excited about TV 14. But unfortunately, TV 14 means nothing if you're doing dumb crap.
Do you have a person that you want to see head of creative as well?
I think Triple H would be good as head of. I think Triple H did an amazing job at NXT, but I don't think it'll ever happen.
Okay, interesting thoughts on all of that. I'm gonna say this: Vince McMahon is the reason why many of us fell in love with wrestling. His vision is why we fell in love with wrestling. He brought us people that we could get behind and root for. Mm-hmm. For some, it's Hulk Hogan. I know he's not Mr. All-America that you love today. I understand why. Maybe it's the Ultimate Warrior for you. Also, someone that's like, hey, you don't have to look up to them. And you can say that for most of these guys. Is it Macho Man?
Yes, Macho Man.
Could it be Bret Hart? Could it be Shawn Michaels? Is it The Rock? Is it Stone Cold? Is it The Undertaker, who transcended generations? Is it John Cena? I know there's a lot of younger viewers out there. Was John Cena the first person that got you into pro wrestling? All of these things have something attached to them. Even Roman Reigns. Vince McMahon anointed you the guy for his company that he was going to push at a certain point in time. And whatever the reason is, maybe your favorite wrestler was Taka Michinoku. It doesn't matter. Vince saw something and brought him over and was like, you know what? I could put you on TV and I could do something with you. Has he done a great job with that over the last few years? No. Was it time for Vince to go? Hell yeah. Was the scandal an absolute terrible thing? 100%. And is this something that's going to haunt him for the rest of his career and life? Yes, I think it's going to haunt his legacy, that someone will always bring this up, and absolutely they're in the right to do that. But let's not let it be lost that Vince McMahon did bring us pro wrestling in a way that changed most of our lives. We're in here talking about wrestling at 12:05 on a night, just talking pro wrestling, and we're gonna probably watch Ring of Honor's pay-per-view tomorrow. Shout out to that. Make sure you guys check that out.
Make sure you check out the review that Conrad did on that.
Facts. There's just going to be so much stuff that makes you think of it. Are we going to be in a better place going forward? I think with where Vince was, yes. I think the only place to go is up. Could it get worse? Absolutely, too. But what I want to see is Triple H, Stephanie, Nick Khan, and all of the other people who are in like major management positions within that company do better. Hold the wrestlers accountable and hold your staff accountable as well for doing things right. This is an important job for many people, and make stuff better. Like, I really want that to be the goal. Have goals now to make stuff better, not just to, we got to get these deals, because they're still stuck with the Saudi deals. Those deals aren't going away, people. All that stuff is stuck there. And as far as creative goes, it doesn't matter if you pick Paul Heyman, Triple H. I want someone who's going to care and bring some type of fire. And I want someone who's going to improve the characters that we have on our screen. Because AJ Styles, I don't know how long he's going to be sticking around for. Edge, John Cena, you can't keep calling him back forever. And Roman's not staying too much longer, I feel, in my heart of hearts. It's time to start making these moves happen. So give them 6 months, give them a year. Give them till the Rumble, give them until next year. Let's see what they do.
Let's have somebody in place. I'm thinking back what you did. Let's have somebody in place that feels bad if television, if the television they produce is not good. Have somebody be sick to their stomach if they watch a review like this and hear that their fans are dissatisfied. Let somebody be so sick to their stomach that they make a change.
I'm with it. Sean, plug your stuff, and then we'll head on out of here, man. Let them know where they can find you.
Hubbard Wrestling Weekly on YouTube, man. You know what I'm saying? Just bless your boy with a subscribe. I promise you won't regret it. Me and Conrad have some amazing things on the horizon as the fall season is about to come to fruition. We just did the Ric Flair retrospective. Please check it out. You're going to enjoy it right on my YouTube channel. Part 2 is going to be happening live right here on the EPW channel on Monday night. Check my stuff out. Just let me know what's up, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm about doing stuff for the people, doing stuff that I would like for myself. You feel me? Like, I'm a wrestling fan at heart. I'm happy to be here. And like I said, Hubbard Wrestling Weekly on YouTube, HubbardWrestlingWeekly.com, Hub Wrestling _MVP on TikTok. My TikTok is pretty popular, I'm not going to lie. So, God bless, and as always, evil never prevails.
For that, this has been an Everything Pro Wrestling and Hubbard Wrestling Weekly production. Thank you guys for joining us, and we will be out. Catch you on Monday at 6:05 for the part 2 of the Ric Flair retrospective.
Live.
Peace.
Everyday pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast for the people, the best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin, the opinions, the lesson, yes. By the fans, for the fans, not many in this can understand, this the podcast to show you who I am, Conrad Cushman, the legend in the plans, please listen every day to the showcase, the opinions and knowledge that anyone can take, showing you how it is done, proving I am number one, what a legend becomes. This is now my time to show you that I am here. This podcast just to make it loud and clear. By the fans, for the fans, not many whose head can understand everything pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast here for the people, the best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin, the opinion and the lesson, yes. Everyday pro wrestling, they can never be you. Listen to the podcast for the people, the best show that's here, so listen in. Let the knowledge begin, the opinions, the lesson, yes.